Hey y'all, it's Brittany and welcome back. This week we will be talking about a cult favorite fragrance, and that is going to be Jo Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt Cologne. We'll also be comparing this scent to Dossier's version of the Wood Sage and Sea Salt. So if you want to hear my thoughts on Jo Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt and also see if Dossier's inspired by version stacks up to the original, stay tuned. Alright, you guys, I always have to show my gratitude, so thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you to you guys who have stayed in those comments, who have liked the videos. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. For those of you who are just finding my channel, I don't only talk about fragrance here, I also do a whole ton of true crime, whether it be true crime and makeup, true crime and skincare. I have it all. Wine and true crime. I got it all, sis. So make sure you subscribe, sis. Make sure you subscribe, sir. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you get notified as soon as I post new content, and make sure you like the video and hop in those comments as well. I love hearing your thoughts, especially on these fragrances, y'all. Now let's get into the featured perfume. We are talking all about Jo Malone London's Wood Sage and Sea Salt. Now I have about 10 or more, I would say. I have almost every scent, minus the brand new ones that have just come out, but I have almost every scent of the Jo Malone collection. This is 9 mls. I always like to hit up the travel size first to see what I like, especially in this case when they have such a wide array of fragrances in their collection. I wanted to test them all out to see which ones I like most and I want to buy the full bottle of, and which ones I could do without. Now their 1 ounce is going to be about $75. That is at Sephora. And if you want the 3.4 ounce, which is the bigger bottle, you're going to be paying about $145 for that size. Now, as always, we'll start with the notes that are in each of these fragrances. We'll talk about the initial smell, the smell once it settles down a bit on the skin. We'll talk about sillage and longevity, and we'll also talk about price. So in terms of notes, I wasn't able to find top notes, middle notes, and base notes specifically, but the main notes in this fragrance are obviously going to be sea salt, sage, grapefruit, ambrette or musk mallow, and seaweed. So those are going to be the main notes of this particular fragrance. Now, this is Dossier's version, which is woody sage. And this bottle is a 1.7 ounce bottle or 50 milliliters. And this bottle is $29. If you go on Jo Malone's website, a 1.7 ounce of the wood sage and sea salt is going to be $100. So this is a huge difference, a fraction of the cost for Dossier's version. Now, talking about the notes that are in the Dossier version of the fragrance. The top notes are fig tree and grapefruit. The middle notes are marine notes and ambrette. And the base notes are clary sage and amberwood. So some of the same notes. A lot of the times when you look at Dossier fragrance notes, you get a lot of the same notes of the fragrance that they're actually inspired by, but they're also trying to put their spin on it in some situations. So you get a little bit of a difference in notes as well, but we'll test these out to see how close of a dupe it is for the original, and we'll talk about the performance of each, the original version from Jo Malone and also the Dossier version. All right, so I just sprayed both versions on my hand. This is the Dossier version and this is the Jo Malone version. So I'll give it a few seconds and then we'll go in and we'll talk about the initial scent of both. All right, you guys, so it's been a few minutes and I've let it sit a little bit, just enough to be able to smell it without getting that, you know, burning alcohol scent when you go in and smell too soon. Initial scent, in all honesty, they smell very similar. Very similar. However, with the Dossier version, I'm getting a little bit more of the citrusy scent up front. So a little bit more of that grapefruit is coming through up front. With the Jo Malone, I am getting much more of the herbal. So the sage is kind of coming through. I'm not quite getting salty yet, but I am getting citrus and sage kind of coming through pretty strongly initially. On first scent of the top notes, I actually do prefer the Dossier version of this. We will give it a few more moments and I'll let it sit for a while on my skin so that we can start to smell some of those base notes and middle notes, and we'll talk about kind of what that experience is and which one I prefer overall. All right, you guys, so I've let them both sit for a while on my skin, And to be quite honest, I'm still gonna say that I do prefer the Dossier version of the Jo Malone Wood Sage and Sea Salt. I prefer the Woody Sage over the actual Jo Malone. And I'll tell you why. So for me, on my skin, Jo Malone Wood Sage and Sea Salt smells like floor potpourri, if that makes sense. You know, that Arm & Hammer potpourri powder that you sprinkle on your carpet before you get ready to vacuum. That's what it smells like on my skin with my skin's chemistry. And that's just not something that I want to smell like at any point in my life. It is a nice scent up front. I get the more earthy, herbally, citrusy scent up front, but as it settles down, it starts to smell like floor potpourri. It does give me, on initial scent, it gives me a little bit of a headache. So there's something in there that just is not agreeing with me personally. Now, I know a lot of people are obsessed with the Wood Sage and Sea Salt. It is a cult favorite. I understand that. It's not for me. Now, in terms of longevity and sillage, we'll start with sillage. Sillage is minimal. Once it starts to settle on your skin, it's minimal. This is gonna be much more of a skin scent. It doesn't actually last very long on top of that. So you probably won't smell it after the first hour or so. So it's definitely something, if you want the scent to be prominent, you're gonna have to travel with the smaller bottle, with the travel size of the Wood Sage and Sea Salt from Jo Malone. Now, in terms of price, do I think that it's worth it? Based on the sillage, based on the longevity and wear of this fragrance, I'm not even gonna put in like how it smells on me, because fragrances smell different on every person because of the unique body chemistry. So I won't even factor that in, but just on the sillage and the longevity and the wear alone, I would say this is way overpriced. Way overpriced. This is poor performance for a $145 bottle of perfume. I would definitely say find something else. Find something similar, find another salty, beachy, herbally scent that performs much better and much longer. So I would say this is a no for me. I would not be purchasing. Now, I do have some favorites from Jo Malone, some that perform much better and agree much better with me personally, but this is not one of them. The Dossier version, I do favor that one a bit more. It does smell very, very, very similar. This is probably actually one of their best comparisons slash dupes that they have. And it's just done slightly better to me. It doesn't give me a headache and it doesn't smell as much like potpourri. You still smell it. It still smells the same. You can't really tell the difference between the two. If you're just someone and somebody's walking by you, it smells like Jo Malone, but I can tolerate it more. So I don't know if there are some other things that are kind of layered in there, a different base note that makes it a little bit more manageable for me personally. But if I was going to choose between the two, I would choose the Dossier version. Now, in terms of price, again, this one is $29.99 for a 1.7 ounce. And then when we talk about sillage and longevity, I feel like this is also a skin scent, so it's going to be an up close and personal kind of scent unless you're just going overboard and spraying it everywhere, which I would not recommend with this one, because this one is a pretty considerable concentration of perfume oil. This is 18% concentration of perfume oil, so this is probably about an eau de parfum. So you don't want to spray this directly on clothing because it can possibly leave oil stains on your clothes. But this one, I think, is much more worth the money. It smells just about the same. It's very close. It's just, like I said, I can tolerate this one a little bit more for some reason, but it smells like the Jo Malone version. It really does. Do I think it's worth the money based on the performance, based on the price, based on the scent? I think it's worth the money. If you love the Jo Malone Wood Sage and Sea Salt, then I would say go for the Dossier. I can't tell the difference between the two really now that they've settled down. This Dossier version initially smelled better to me. It was much more of a citrusy, kind of earthy scent. I preferred that one initially, but once they settled down, it smells very similar and it's a great dupe and it performs about the same, if not better. I think you may get a little bit more wear out of the Dossier version, if I'm being honest. So is it a dupe? Yes, it's a dupe. Would I recommend it? For lovers of Jo Malone with sage and sea salt, absolutely. If you want to save those coins, sis or sir, because this is a unisex fragrance, go with the Dossier version. All right, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this review of Jo Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt, which it's official, I am not a fan of, and the Dossier Woody Sage, which if you love it, I love it, okay? And before I go, I wanted to update you guys on one of our sponsors, and that is Skillshare. I told you guys last go around that I was trying out a couple of classes on Skillshare. I have really been enjoying the self-care playbook with Jonathan Van Ness so far. You know that I really wanted to take part in the classes that Skillshare has to offer because I am trying to be a better me personally and also to bring better content to you guys, which they have some great content on how to better your skills, whether you're a photographer, whether you are a content creator like myself, or things like self-care, whether you just want to make time for yourself and make it more valuable for you. But I've really been enjoying the classes so far. Skillshare is an awesome platform that really allows you to hone your skills in whatever category it may be. They are always adding new classes, new subjects, so it's a wealth of information. And the first 1,000 people to join via my link will get 1 month free access of Skillshare's platform. So learn a new skill, better your skills, improve your personal life. Self-care is very important. Whatever you want to do, sis or sir, make sure you do it with Skillshare. Check out the link below to get 1 month free access. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this helpful and informational. Have you tried either one? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Let me know in those comments down below. I want to hear all about it, y'all. I want to hear about your experiences with either of these fragrances. I'll be back soon to do some more fragrances. You know I have to touch on that Peony and Blush Suede by Jo Malone and a ton of other fragrances. So stick around, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that like button and that notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post more content like this. But until next time, you guys, it's been fun. It's been real. Love you guys. Bye.